an excerpt from a treatise on imaginary explosion, so it's a little bit long. So, without further ado, love is an incomplete burning, wrote Reza Negarestani. Negarestani is a philosopher who composed a delirious cosmology called Cyclonopedia, Complicity with Anonymous Materials. Maybe some of you know it. He fictionalizes himself, writing prior to his disappearance, while investigating the meteorological mysticisms of a also presumably fictionalized professor of Middle Eastern Studies and ancient mathematics, Dr. Hamid Parsani, prior to Parsani's own disappearance. Smoldering in the footnotes of pseudoscience and turgid metaphysical equations are references to longing and heartbreak. Whatever elaborate fictions he is capable of writing, I know from the fact of his declaration, love is an incomplete burning, that Reza Negarestani is not a fiction. He is a real person who has been singed by heartbreak. Enough to know it, enough to remain alive, enough to anticipate that it will return to consume what it failed to lick with its first flames. Language used to describe the sensation of pain is the language of burning things. This is not unique to English. Pain is a burning. In some neurological studies of pain, capsicum derived from chilies is used to simulate searingly acute pain. To unjustly simplify it, such pain signals run from nociceptive neurons along the neospinothalamic pathway to the somatosensory cortex in the brain. It is the most recent tract of pain in human evolution. Of earliest origin is the archispinothalamic tract.
Please turn your phones off.
The oldest pathway that pain stimuli navigates to reach the brain, also sends collateral signals to the hypothalamus and to nuclei in the limbic system. The archispinothalamic pathway contributes to the processing of visceral, autonomic, and emotional pain, or what is called social pain. The tectonics of pain have many interrelated fault lines. While much remains to be studied, a breadth of recent research has shown that the neural circuitry of physical and social pain overlap. Not only do physical and social pain share the neural substrate of their affective component, distress, but they also share the distinct neural substrate of sensory processing, related to location, intensity, and duration. However, social pain is somehow easier to conjure and relive than physical pain. An imaginary explosion thus feels exactly the same as a physical one. Perhaps this has something to do with how social pain is stored in memory and in the limbic system, the older, more reptilian part of the brain. In cases of trauma, memory of affective pain can be relived by the resemblance of a physical sensation that occurred during the trauma event, what is known as state-dependent recall. A headache that mimics a ghost of the concussive blow, an autonomic tremor in the body not unlike the earthquakes preceding the glacier exploding off the top of the volcano, a waft of sulfur resembling the asphyxiating gases charging the atmosphere before the lava began to spew. Somatic memory stored in the muscles and connective tissue can maintain the particular position, action, or intention of the body when the traumatic moment took place. Somatic memory itself can induce the experience of pain. In post-traumatic stress, the autonomic nervous systems of individuals become aroused in a stress response to somatic memory. But their brains have lost the ability to produce the hormones required to end the episode of hyperarousal. Hyperarousal in post-traumatic stress is a constant response to inappropriate stimuli. The clouds shifting in the sky, perhaps. The clouds shift, and an imaginary volcano erupts. Goethe, like Negarestani, was keen to the metaphysical relationship between atmospheres and the geological insurgencies of Earth's intentions. Upon a midlife crisis, Goethe journeyed from Germany to Italy. He wrote, "When we look at mountains, whether from far or near, and see their summits, now glittering in sunshine, now shrouded in mists or wreathed in storm-tossed clouds, now lashed by rain or covered with snow, we attribute all these phenomena to the atmosphere. Because all its movements and changes are visible to the eye. To the eye, on the other hand, shapes of the mountains always remain immobile, and because they seem rigid, inactive, and at rest, we believe them to be dead. but for a long time I have felt convinced that most manifest atmospheric changes are really due to their imperceptible and secret influence. I believe that by and large, the gravitational force exerted by the Earth's mass, especially by its projections, is not constant and equal, but, whether from internal necessity or external accident, is like a pulse, now increasing, now decreasing. When the gravitational pull of the mountains decreases even slightly, this is immediately indicated by the diminished weight and elasticity of the air. Indeed, Goethe would soon come to know intimately a very live mountain in Naples, Vesuvius, the volcano that buried Pompeii. Most are unaware that prior to the falling sky of ash that mummified a thriving city, suffocating gases released from the infernal heat of the volcano killed most of the residents, including Pliny the Elder. But he was also old and fat, and may have instead died of a stress-related heart attack as he tried to rescue the populace. You can understand their tragic circumstances. Gases and ash erupted into the atmosphere from a volcano in Iceland in the 14th century, blotting out the sky, asphyxiating bees, livestock, and humans. It is believed to have contributed to all of Europe weathering what was known as the Little Ice Age. Magmatism in the Siberian traps combusted coal and basalt in a length of gaseous eruptions. Rain had the acidity of lemon juice. Volcanism eliminated over 90% of all life on Earth. It took 10 million years for living creatures to recover. It was responsible for the largest mass extinction to have ever taken place. 252.28 million years later, studies by geologists have nearly confirmed this fact. The eruption of Iceland's Eyjafjallajökull glacier in 2010 caused the total Thank you. I apologize. In 2010, caused the total amputation of Europe from modern aerial transportation networks for several days. Some believed air travel would never return to Europe. A larger and more devastating explosion from Katla, thank you, is anticipated any time. But burning stone itself is not expected to be the most violent consequence, rather its prolonged atmospheric effects. On his Italian journey, Goethe met Sir William Hamilton, who was also seduced by Vesuvius. A British diplomat, collector of Etruscan vases, and volcanologist, Sir Hamilton became a sanguine scientific accountant of geological risk. Together, he and Goethe shared the thrill of proximate danger when Vesuvius erupted before their eyes. Susan Sontag's novel The Volcano Lover narrates this encounter between man and molten earth. She wrote, "One view of catastrophe, this had happened. Who would have expected such a thing? Never, never. No one. It is the worst. And if the worst, then unique. Which means unrepeatable. Let's put it behind us. Let's not be doomsayers. The other view. Unique for now. What happens once can happen again. You'll see. Just wait. To be sure, you may have to wait a long time. We come back. We come back." Because, of course, there was nothing in the shape of salts and sulfurs for the diplomat to divine the coming bourgeois revolution that would brutalize more bodies and burn his possessions more completely than the volcano he loved and anticipated. His wealth was obliterated. His scandalous and spurned young wife, Lady Emma Hamilton, fell into poverty and drank herself to death by the time she reached her 40s. Alcohol, as we know, has an analgesic effect, frequently abused for heartbreak. Recent studies confirm that even Tylenol can soothe the neurological burn of affective pain. Later in the 18th century, Prince Leopold of Dessau in Germany recreated a miniaturized version of Sir William Hamilton's home in Naples with a foreshortened vista upon a miniaturized Vesuvius. He worked obsessively to stage an artificial eruption with the most advanced pyrotechnics of his era. After his death, the imaginary volcano remained dormant for centuries, but in recent years it has been revived by the garden attendants. The next eruption has not yet been scheduled. Thank you.